Mr. Jerry Vapal. What's going on, blood? JTG. What's
What
poppin'?
up? What up?
Nothing much. Just welcome all our listeners to another episode of Giant Fundamentals, the podcast dedicated to empowering men by tackling the vital issues of mental health. And I want to start out by saying that one thing that I'm grateful for is the fact that we can use this platform to be an advocate for men.
Mm.
I think one of the main themes this year that me and you have been tackling personally, whether it be internal or external, is how men's emotions are being misrepresented in the world today. And, you know, through our vulnerability, through our transparency, through our podcast, we're showing that men have emotions and they're just as important as women. And we're breaking down all the myths and the so-called terms like toxic masculinity and all these different things about men. And I appreciate the fact that I'm able to do that with my best friend on this platform. So that's something that I'm grateful for.
That's what's up. That's a good one, man. What am I grateful for? That's what it was. So I'm grateful and I'm thankful for the fact that I was able to go down to Miami on Saturday to take that day trip. One of the boys that we grew up with, his son was turning 9, so I'm never really around him like that. So I was like, you know what? Let me just slide. Let me just see what's good. And seeing the boys around the block that we grew up with, where we played football, basketball with, it was like a breath of fresh air, man. It was a breath of fresh air just to see those guys and how they've matured and how they're fathers now. And I'm like, whoa, we are all past 35 years old. All of us are over the hump. And I'm seeing them boys. It was like the embrace, man. The embrace. Man, hood niggas love each other too, dog. Okay. It's like the embrace, man. It was like, yo, long lost brother, man. Cause I haven't seen them boys in maybe like over 15 years. And we just talking, man, and just talking about life and how things have been and just seeing their perspective on certain things. I'm like, wow, like, yeah, we're adults. Like, we are adults, man. So I was definitely grateful and thankful for that because that was the bright spot of my weekend.
Man, that's amazing. I mean, how many fights broke out?
Well, only two almost broke out.
Oh, okay. No, I love the fact that you were able to do that. I mean, I wish we did more of that. I think the only time we really connect like that is on funerals, out at funerals. So to be able to be at a birthday, a joyous celebration, and then reminisce about how it was being on the block, because the block, man, as much as my parents probably didn't like the fact that I was on the block, it helped us out a lot. Like,
Oh, you telling me?
it kept us out of a lot of trouble. And there was trouble that was being done, but like
Of course.
that togetherness, that love is something that, like, yo, I cherish. Like, sometimes I look at my kids and I'm like, y'all, I feel bad. Y'all on these social media and all these devices, but y'all missing out. The block was the block.
Yeah, the block is
Especially when new girl move in. Ooh, oh love. Yeah, Kimberly. You know what I mean? Like it's just those dynamics, man. We'll come out with a series. You know what I mean? We'll call it the block, you know what I mean? Um with that being said, how's your mind? How's your body? How's your spirit?
Man, I'm feeling good overall. Um, Even though I'm going through a major transition in my life right now, I feel the maturity in the midst of the transition.
That's good.
And what I mean by that is I'm not allowing external things to knock me off the horse. And I'm actually doubling down on self-care routines that work for me.
Mm-hmm.
So going to the gym, connected with dudes, got a gym partner, trying to talk to other dudes, say, hey, yo, let's try to get a group together to hoop in the mornings, exchanging numbers with different guys, really taking my self-care to the next level in terms of like taking care of my skin, flossing regularly, like doing all the little things that I can control. I'm doing those things,
Mhm.
and it's allowing me to be able to be above water in this season. And I need it because, bro, I'm always absorbing people's problems. That's what I do for a living.
Yeah.
So my therapist asked me, she asked, how are you doing it? How are you seeing clients through this time? And I said, listen, I don't even know. I don't even know. I'm literally just taking a client at a time.
Mhm.
But I know a part of it is me being able to really just focus on myself and do the things that are going to make me feel good. Bro, as simple as stretching,
Yeah.
literally just stretching, journaling, taking the 20 seconds to do some deep breathing, going outside, just looking into the sun, looking to the plants, breathing the plants, like really using all my five senses to stay grounded in the moment.
Mhm.
We really underestimate the power of those things. Like I be fighting with my clients to journal. I'll be like, yo, did you journal? Nah, I probably wrote like a couple of sentences. I'm like, yo, you don't understand how impactful that would be. So overall, though life is giving me lemons, I'm learning how to make lemon juice out of it.
Yeah, and I love what you said about journaling because I know how intimidating it can be. Because sometimes you feel like you make it such a task where you feel like, oh, I have to stay on topic and I have to journal this specific thing. And there's no, man, I just journal. I let it come out. If you look at my journal, I got like 16 different topics going on at the same time, at the same time, but it allows me to have such a clear mind after I journal. And that's why I love doing it first thing when I wake up. And even doing it this morning and then going for a walk and then running, like I didn't feel the burden of life on me. I didn't feel
Mhm.
heavy. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, yay.
Yep.
I see what's up. I know what I need to do now,
Exactly.
you know?
Yeah.
So what's our M&Ms this week? Give me some
There's a
candy.
song um by the Careful Ones. As a group called the Careful Ones, and it's called Changes. And it's really just a hook. It just says, I feel the change is coming. It's coming. It's coming. I feel the change is coming. It's coming. It's coming. So let me sing it. I feel the change is coming. It's coming. It's coming. Try to do a little falsetto there. But that just that those lines, I would say, it just, for me, it speaks to me because of what I've been experiencing as the year started.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I feel the anticipation of a change coming. And I strongly believe that that change is a great one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hopeful that the change is a great one. And we can look on both sides. No matter what is happening in life, change is constant.
Yeah.
So you could either believe that change is happening for the better or it's happening for the worse. It's all about how you want to perceive your situation. So,
How did you find that song?
man, it was actually I'm gonna send it to you. It's actually I was watching All American. You know how we do when we hear songs on shows, we're like, oh shoot. So I heard that song on the show All American a couple of seasons ago, and I was like, oh man. And then I just downloaded it, and I've been listening to it for the last couple of years. So
Yeah. From what I hear, it's a good reminder to know that the change is coming. I know it's scary for a lot of people, like even in the job that I work with, I tell clients all the time, like, hey, like you're overreacting to the onset of change, right? Like you're creating new fears that might not even be there because you're afraid of the change.
Yep.
And embracing change is a skill set all on its own, you know?
And that's why in therapy there's an actual diagnosis, I would say in mental health. It's called adjustment disorder. Yeah, it's just an inability to adjust to life. So you really have adjustment disorder when it's I think you need at least 6 months. If it's taking you at least 6 months to get used to something, to a new environment, it's adjustment disorder. But a lot of us have adjustment disorder though. Many people do. You don't even realize it. You go to a new job, you go to a new school. There's a lot of things that are transpiring internally that you have no clue what's happening. And literally, it's just your nervous system, your life force is really trying to get used to the change.
So how do you fight? Man, I have so many questions because of that, because it's hard listening to your gut, right? And it's like, how do I determine my gut? How do I like break down what my gut is telling me? Because there's an uncomfortable feeling that I may feel from this change either coming or happening. So how do I know this is the change I should be making, or this is the change I shouldn't be making based on that feeling?
Honestly, you just have to trust yourself. And that's where the element of faith comes into the picture. You just have to believe that whatever decision you make, that is going to work out for your good. I think a lot of times what we end up doing is we micromanage our decisions, like every decision. But I strongly believe now more than ever that what is for me will be for me. What is supposed to happen will happen.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't, I can't think that, oh, because if I do this, then this is going to happen. That's the anxiety. That's the overthinking. That's the overanalyzing. And that's going to just keep you stuck. And I think a lot of us do that when we get into new environments or into a new season or a new reality. It's like we just start to think like, man, if I did this, if I did that, if I did this, then I would be here, I'll be there. And it's like, no, you're right where you're supposed to be. My therapist actually recently told me in our last session, she was like, you know, you develop the skill of being hyper vigilant in order to survive your environment growing up.
Right.
And she said it has helped you get ahead, but in the same breath, it has helped you it has caused you to go backwards.
It held you back.
Yeah. And I'm like, dang, that's so true. It's like that one defense mechanism of being hyper vigilant is literally doing two things. Is holding me back and it helped me push me forward. And that is what you're talking about in terms of like trusting your gut, because I'm so used to, or we all could be used to doing things a certain way. But then a lot of times what happens in life is if you're paying attention, life is telling you, yo, you can't operate that same way. You can't use those same tools anymore. They're not going to work for you in this season. But the challenge is your gut is connected to those tools.
Right.
So I feel like that's what you're talking about. It's like, yo, like, what should I do? That literally happened to me yesterday. But what I end up doing is I say, and this is how I ground myself. I said, look, I know I feel as if I want to do it this way, but I only want to do it that way because it's comfortable for me and it eases my anxiety. But guess what? I've been doing it this way for 39 plus years. Let me do it the other way. So that's like experiential therapy. It's like doing something differently than what you've always done.
So do you allow yourself room to change your mind?
Yeah, I allow myself. It's not. I wouldn't even say it's changed my mind.
So let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. So you say, all right, I'm going with my gut and I'll do it this way. And then new information or new feelings come and you're like, well, I actually want to do it another way. Because I think a lot of times people feel like once they make that gut decision, they have to stick with it no matter what.
For sure, yeah, yeah.
And it's like, No, you can say, hey, I actually don't like that result, or
Yeah.
I was only making that decision based on that information, but new information came,
Right.
and I can pivot back, or I can pivot in another direction.
For sure. I think a lot of us don't recognize, especially when you've dealt with some sort of trauma, we don't recognize that literally we are in charge of how our lives go.
Mm,
So somebody may not pivot, someone may not feel comfortable in pivoting, and they may stick to it, whatever they're doing.
yeah,
Someone else may be like, yeah, I want to take a different approach. And that's okay.
both are okay.
Yeah, I think we just have to, I think at the end of the day, you just have to be comfortable and confident in the fact that this is your life and you can build it to however you want to build it. But I think for a lot of us, what the challenge is that uncertainty when you do things or where you possibly may do things differently, because you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Because what you've always done has gotten you certain results, and you know if you do it this way, you're more likely to get the results that you're used to.
Right.
But you don't really want those results anymore. But those results, you know them. The certainty is comfortable. But in the same breath, it's uncomfortable because it's giving you something that you don't want. So now you have to go to the other side and be like, okay, I'm going to do opposite from what I've always done. But you don't know what's going to happen when you do opposite. So it's like, it's kind of like, I treat it like the pool. Like, oh, the pool cold. All right. I don't want to put my toe in it, nothing. I don't want to touch it. I'm just going to jump right in. Boom. Just jump in and then, let the chips fall where they may.
You eventually warm up anyway, right?
Right. Exactly. You get
And
used to it.
exactly. And I like how you said we're in charge of our life and our life decisions, because that leads us to our main topic of control, right? How control is impacting a relationship and how to overcome it. So if you can go over, what are the three signs that you have a control issue?
Well, first and foremost, there's way more than three signs, but I'm just going to give three for the sake
100%.
of
Yeah.
the podcast, right? But I want to first even dive into why I chose this topic.
Mm,
And it's because I'm recognizing that us as men, we have a great challenge, a big challenge with control.
yeah.
And that control shows up in many different ways. But I know what we don't recognize is when you have an issue with control where you're trying to control everything and everyone around you and you're trying to dictate exactly what happens and what doesn't happen, that is a classic sign that you have anxiety issues.
Well, I want to also bring this up, right? Because you're totally right. But we've been cultured a certain way, right? We're supposed to be leaders. We're men. We're supposed to be providing. We're supposed to be protecting. So there's a certain level of control that has become part of our skill set. And I'll give you an example. One of my friends, she's dating a guy and they went on a couple dates, but she got ghosted on the third date, right? And I was like, hey, I think you should let him know like how you feel about being ghosted on the third date or the lack of communication that's been going on. She said something like, well, no, I let men lead. It's up to him. He's the one that didn't reach out to me. And I said, man, you women in these gender roles, you got to relax because you don't know what he's going through. He's in his profession is a very busy profession. He could be going through a lot of things. He could have other options. You just don't know. And I said, instead of us building these boundaries, quote unquote, why don't you build a bridge? Right? How do you know he's not sick? You have the flu right now. How do you know he didn't have the flu?
Yeah.
Right? So many different things that are going on that because you want to protect yourself,
Yes.
you know? So I say all that to say is that thinking that she had, oh, I let men lead, is also why I've developed the control over things that I've developed because I consider it leadership.
No, absolutely. Very true. Very, very true. And this is why having these conversations are very important, because we have to be able to understand what's the difference between leading and controlling. Or I
Mm,
would even say loving and controlling,
mm,
because those two things could look very similar. Like you think that you're doing all these things and you're paying the bills and you're making things happen, so on and so forth. You think that's showing love. You think that is you supporting your partner. But when your partner interjects and says, hey, we should do X, Y, and Z, or we should do this and that, we don't recognize that because we have the control, where we unconsciously think that we can dictate, or our perspective or our way of doing things is superior than our partners. So
that's
that's
true.
where, the control situation comes into the picture, but it could be mingled with love. So it's just being able to have these conversations to be able to see what's the difference between the two.
And that's hard.
Yeah.
So, what are the three signs that you wanted to give for us to recognize that we have a control issue and that it's more controlling than it is loving?
I would say one, the first one is a light one. It's a subtle one.
Yeah.
But if you struggle with delegating tasks,
Oh wow.
if you feel like no one can do things as well as you, and you take on too much, you start micromanaging everything, even in areas where you don't need to be involved, that's a control issue.
But then I don't want to allow people the right to disappoint me.
Well, you don't want to give people the opportunity to disappoint you, but you do want to give people the opportunity to show up for you, right?
That's true.
So, and that's the thing that we don't understand, or we don't fully understand, is that there's two sides to a coin.
Hmm.
To think that life is not going to bring you any disappointment, or people are not going to disappoint you, or people are not going to hurt you, that's a very unrealistic expectation. To think that you just want to get what you want and you want people to show up for you all the time, that's an unrealistic expectation. I believe we said it on the last podcast. Life, it's a mixed bag. So yeah, I get it. Like, no one wants to be let down. No one wants to be disappointed. I get it. Like, that's no one does. But the fact of the matter is, that's part of living life.
Allowing that person, I mean, the person got to learn somehow,
And
right?
I'm not even thinking about the person. I'm more so thinking about me as the person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about me. Like, why does it hurt me so much when people disappoint me? Why do I feel as if I have to have all control? I have to micromanage everything. Everything has to be my way. Again, it's because of the anxiety. And it's the anxiety of not being disappointed. This is where we have this thing called hyper independence.
Mm,
You see someone doing everything and do it, and they look like they can carry the world on their shoulders. Listen, I'm a recovering hyper independent person, so I know firsthand.
right.
You think that, oh, because this person's doing this and they're doing that, and they just look like they're a superhero. No, when someone is operating in hyper independence, when someone is operating in extreme control, when someone has to micromanage everything, they are wounded, they are hurt, and they're trying to do their best never to feel that disappointment, that abandonment, that neglect, that rejection ever again, by being hyper independent, by being controlling.
No, that makes sense. What would you say is the second sign? The first one was subtle, so is the second one like medium?
It's subtle, but it's medium. So we get into the medium. I
Good.
would say the other one is you try to shape other people's behavior.
Man, you
Yeah.
turn into a parent, huh?
And listen, and even parents, you're not supposed to be shaping your kids' behavior. So
Oh, you dropping gems.
yeah, you're not even supposed to do that, right? So You might try to control your partners, your friends, your colleagues' actions, their thoughts or decisions to match your expectations, believing that you're doing what's best for them.
Mm.
But really, what you're doing is the best for you. Because again, like I said earlier, if you have the need, if you feel the need to control everything and everyone in every situation, control your environment at all times, you're trying to soothe yourself by doing that. So trying to control people's decisions of what they do and what they don't do, that's just really you just trying to soothe yourself so you can feel safe and you can feel comforted. But there's a lot of manipulation in that.
Can you give me an example of what that would look like to shape someone's behavior?
Hmm. So let's say this: you have a partner,
Yeah.
and your partner likes to go out. They like to live it up. They're the big people person, social butterfly. They love the nightlife, so on and so forth. But you don't have that type of personality,
Okay.
right? Your anxiety, your fractured sense of self, low self esteem will attempt to talk that partner out of going out so much. That can
Mm.
come in the form of like, oh, you are always out. You're never with me. We don't do enough together. But yet you don't want to get out the house. You don't want to compromise. Or that can come in the terms of, oh, you're going to go out, but you remember, we have to do this together. We have to work on this. This is very important.
Mhm.
So those are a couple of ways where you are trying to shape the person's behavior and impact the decisions that they make. So what you're doing is you are literally trying to make that person your pacifier. And the reason why I say that is because you're not comfortable when your partner is not with you. And the reason why you're not comfortable, it could be so many reasons. So I have a couple that I've been working with. And the husband, he's always blowing up his wife when she goes out.
Yeah.
Mind you, they don't even well, she doesn't even go out like that, but she's that type of person that likes to go out and show her friends.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out like, yo, like, why is he being like that? Because what I'm bringing to the table is um, self care is very important, and both of you may do your self care differently. And she likes to go out and do her thing, hang out with her friends, but she was like, "Yo, I'm not even able to do that. I'm always with the girls all the time."
Right.
Kids. So as we're talking more about it, and I'm digging, asking more questions, it comes out that they both were in different marriages before they got together, and they were together while they were married.
Mhm.
So the way they got together created an insecurity in the man that makes him think like, oh, if she's out, what if she meets somebody else? Because that's essentially what happened with them.
Okay.
So he does things and he says like, oh yeah, you can't go out because the kids got to do homework. We got to do this or they got to do that. So he does that to kind of
Keep her away.
keep her, yeah, and really to soothe himself, to
Love
calm his
herself.
anxiety down. So it looks like he doesn't trust her. He's coming off as controlling, but the core of it is his anxiety that she's going to step out on him. And then he has his own skeletons in his closet with other women too. So that's
Right.
impacting how he is showing up in a relationship, projecting on her.
Mhm. So, man, that's a we're gonna have to handle that on another podcast because that's a loaded. Because what comes to mind is how people say how you get together is usually how it's an old folklore tale like black people say how you get together is usually how you break up.
Mm,
But the reason why that can be true is because a lot of times we don't know how to heal from that guilt and shame of our past and realize that we are different people and good things can come from bad situations. But
it's very true.
that's
Yeah,
a whole nother podcast in itself, right?
that's very true.
So give us number three. You know what I mean? You went from, subtle, you went from raw to medium. Give me the well done. Give me the steak.
uh, 3.
Mm-hmm.
You feel the need to fix other people's problems.
Oh boy.
You tend to step in, try to solve problems for people, even when they haven't asked you for help. And you may feel discomfort or even frustration if they don't follow your suggestions.
Mm. Always giving advice.
Always giving advice. And this is what I call, for all my men out there,
Yeah.
the Superman syndrome.
Mm.
You're always there to save the day. You're always there to fix people's problems. Let me tell you something. If you are that guy that everyone is calling when they have issues, and you're always available at the drop of a dime, and you feel immense value or you feel valuable
Mm-hmm.
showing up for people all the time like that, and you don't create boundaries, you have a Superman complex. But the thing about Superman is that he has a weakness.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and for those who are always stepping in trying to fix people's problems, the kryptonite will be over time when you see that you are not getting that same energy from other people, is going to cause resentment.
So if it's not reciprocated, it will
Yeah.
cause resentment.
And sometimes, a lot of times, even with that Superman complex, over time you realize like, yo, people not hitting me up like that. Or when I have a problem, people not there for me like that. And
Right.
it's not necessarily that they're not there for you like that. It's just that you are overdoing it. And you expect people to overdo it for you too.
Yeah. So it's one thing to say that in a family friend dynamic, right? But what about a romantic dynamic? Like I see a lot of women on Instagram when they're praising their husbands, they was like, oh, he's my Superman. He fixed all of our issues and I could always go to him and he could solve my problem. Like that seems like that is a device on my belt. Like Batman, right? He has all these gadgets. That sounds like something that is needed to have a healthy dynamic.
Nah, it's actually not healthy because then the relationship becomes imbalanced.
Mm.
It becomes imbalanced, and then there's going to be there will be ill feelings will be harbored over time. And honestly, in a romantic relationship, these are things that we just have to be able to talk about
Right.
because, bro, a lot of times we don't need to do what we're doing. We don't need to do all of that. And even with the women that are expecting that, you don't realize that you're setting yourself up to be in a situation where the man has all of the control.
Okay.
Because if he's fixing everything, it's just an automatic thing, especially in our patriarchy society. It's just an easy thing. Like, yo, I'm the one making all of these things happen.
Yeah.
So you just need to do that, and I'm going to continue doing this. You shouldn't have say in what's going on. So and that's the challenge right there. Yeah, you think you want a man to come solve all your problems. No, you don't. You don't want a savior. You want a partner. But like you said, it's like, man, as men, we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. We come in, we save the day, we make things happen. Oh, you're too controlling. But then we take a step back and, we're just into ourselves. Oh, you're not doing enough. You're not leading. It's
Yeah.
like, yo, stop it. Like, you gotta chill, right? But this is where really just talking about expectations and just really understanding one another's needs, but most importantly, creating those boundaries, man. Because I know some men out there, you're afraid to create boundaries because you think that if you create these boundaries, it's going to cause a bigger issue.
Yeah.
So you stay quiet and you just do what needs to be done. But in your heart of hearts, it's making the relationship sour. Yeah. And now you have these little microaggressions or you being passive aggressive. And it's because you're not communicating how you feel, what you think, and you're not setting boundaries.
So to close us out, how can men get in control of this controlling situation? Like how what's that mindset shift that needs to happen?
Before I give that, let me give a bonus one.
Okay, yes.
This is good because it's for the podcast. It's, you have control issues when you avoid being vulnerable.
Oh man, you're asking for a lot, Jono. You're asking for a lot, man. In the words of Chris Brown, these hoes ain't loyal.
But listen, man, listen, you know, the thing is being vulnerable can feel like a loss of control. That's the thing.
It does. It really
Yeah.
does.
And you may have difficulty being open with your emotions, your thoughts, or admitting when you don't know something because that's you feeling weak, like you don't have control. And that's an issue that a lot of us men have. Like, for a lot of us men, we haven't been conditioned to understand the importance of being vulnerable, not just in a romantic relationship, but just with our peers and family members.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, what we like to do is cover this up. We want to cover up, that we're afraid to be vulnerable by being controlling, by making it look like we have everything all together. This is a posture that a lot of men take. I remember one of my clients, I was working with him, and he just had a very stern disposition. And he would come all buttoned up and he had his gold chains and all this stuff. And I'm like, bro, what are you hiding? Like, and I could tell there's a vulnerability issue there. And even coming into the session, he's trying to control how things are going. And I'm like, bro, are you going to pay me for what I do? Like, what is going on right now?
Right.
But again, it's because if we are vulnerable, then we have no control. That's what we think. But in reality, when you are vulnerable, you actually do have control because you are actually expressing and communicating what's going on with you. That's you controlling how you feel. As you controlling what's going on inside of you. Like, but I would say, vulnerability is a sticking point for a lot of us because it's like cracking through that armor.
Yeah, like you said, you have to let the chips fall where they may, right?
Let them fall where they may, man.
Did you have any other last remarks?
Man, for all my men out there who have these control issues, I'm sure I've said certain things just now that have allowed you to see that. And what I want you to be able to do is just reflect on how it's impacting your relationships, whether it's with a partner, whether it's with your children, whether it's with your colleagues, your peers, so on and so forth. Because when we have this great need to control everything, all it's saying is that we do not feel safe in the world. Yeah. And if you don't feel safe in the world, that means you're not truly living in freedom and living the way that you want to live.
Right.
And in order to get past that, in order to get over that, you got to start relinquishing control and do it with the people. You first start with the people that you love most. And then you start to analyze like, okay, how did that make me feel when I allowed this person to do that? And I would strongly suggest that just Google feelings wheel, because I know for a lot of us men, we can't put a name to how we feel.
Right.
Download the feelings wheel. You see the feelings wheel, you'd be like, oh man, okay, I'm anxious. Okay, I'm anxious and I'm trying to stave off disappointment. Oh, I'm fearful. This is why. This is what this situation made me feel. And then now you start to look at the situation like, but what really did happen when I relinquished control? Nothing.
And don't let these women call you a narcissist. Tell them it takes one to know one. All right? Me and bro, I love you, man.
I love you too, bro. Until we pod again. Thank you so much for joining us. And remember, the man that says he can and the man that says he can't are both right. Which one are you?
Street cred was a major priority, and no respect for any authority. If you love school, you were in the minority. Can't be yourself, only way was conformity. In the dark I prayed, in the jungle Miami, where the lions hunt for prey, and where violence just away. In the dark I prayed.